and welcome back to HMS Odyssey Presents, and we are getting back into it with Meg Zeek. We're going into the centers again, and we're going through some of the disadvantages, and we're also going into a deep dive more into the chart. I hope you enjoy. If you do, hit that like, drop a comment, and subscribe.
That's your identity center. It's strong, like you are who you are, and you get to really use that to your advantage. Now the next one, the triangle, the red one, this is your heart center. And with your heart center, it's really not about love, that's what people think it's about. It's more so about willpower. So not only do you have the sacral consistent energy, you also have the willpower to finish the job, right? This becomes almost more mental sometimes, but this is, again, another area where your loyalty will show up. It's also an area of competitiveness. So we're all, often told, I guess from a young age, we were told to be competitive, right? Mm-hmm. And now as we are getting older, there's some things we should be competitive about and other things we shouldn't, right? Like all these different messages. For you, when you feel a competitive drive kick on, you can trust that. You can trust that it's something that you are wanting to be better at, something that you want to be successful in. Next one is, in my opinion, one of the most important, is your solar plexus. So it's the white triangle. Yep. So in human design, we call this, if it is open, if it is white, that you're a non-emotional being. And don't worry, I'm also a non-emotional being. So doesn't mean, that you don't have your own emotions. What it means, again, remember that I said the white centers are more susceptible to conditioning. Let's say you're around somebody with a defined solar plexus. With a defined solar plexus, their emotions go up and down like pretty rapid spikes. And you can take that energy on, which feels really uncomfortable to your being. Because at baseline, you're a really easygoing person. You're really, really pretty neutral. And because of that opening, unless you have some sort of protection or barrier up and a process of releasing, then you easily take on other people's emotions. Now, I would say this about all the other centers as well, and it's most visible in the solar plexus, is that not only do you take it on, you also amplify it. So let's say someone around you is really angry. You could be the person that said, or that feels, that you feel on that energy, and then you kind of make it louder. And that could be through your throat. That could be through, just through your actions, through your demeanor, right? So it's really important to be aware of and work through those emotional regulation skills, right? And those are important for everybody. With an open solar plexus, though, you may not even be aware that it's there until it's a little too late. Does that make sense? So it's a really good center to be aware of.
No. I was thinking about the one thing you said. If someone's very angry, I have the ability to amplify that. But it's funny. I've been thinking of situations where people get really angry. So it's like if someone gets really angry, I tend to stay very cool. But if the anger builds slowly, then I feel like it, it's like Okay, you're driving down the road and then someone cuts you off and like the anger builds a little bit, and then it's like, then, you know, a garbage truck drives in front of you, and then it's like a huge jump, and then, you know, someone hits into the back of you because they weren't protected, and then the anger just shoots to the sky. But I feel like if someone is coming in with an anger up here already, like, I don't make that jump. Like, if anything, I even cool down even like more, and I'm like, all right, like this situation. But it's, yeah, you know, if I'm in the car with someone who has a defined, and then they get a little angry at something, and then the next little tick, and then I double it, and then they double, and then it's, yeah.
Yes. Yes, yeah. That exactly. So that's kind of and you can be like a volcano that way, kind of like what you were explaining earlier.
Yeah.
Or your first example, because you really don't have a whole lot of, you stay pretty neutral. You can fit stuff in there, and then if it gets to the point where it just keeps happening over and over and over again, you can explode. And I want to say too, when it's with another person, definitely they get a little angry, double. They get a little angrier, double, right? So it kind of, it's almost like a two-way street creating a volcano. Yeah. And that analogy doesn't make sense, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do.
And so really too, if you're like alone and you start to notice that you're having a lot of turbulent feelings, you can ask yourself, and you could use this alone or with people. You can ask yourself, like, does this energy belong to me, or does it belong to someone else? And if it belongs to somebody else, how can I release it? Like for myself, again, because I'm a non-emotional also, for myself, one of the big tools I like to use is like putting on a sad show or a sad movie, and then I can just cry, and nothing wrong is going on in my life. I just need to get that energy out. Or if you have that ability to like turn on some music and just rock out, whatever it is that moves that energy out of your body, right?
That's like the frustration thing, and the not theme, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like I've done that, so I haven't had like a really good way to release energy like that. You know, I can't turn on a movie and just cry. Like it's like when it's like the stars almost have to align a little bit for me to like get into like the deep feels, right?
Right.
So, you know, like there'll be a movie, you know, like for instance, the movie Click. I can't watch it anymore because it's so sad. And you know, like it's just the end, and you know, it's funny. I see people who see it and they're like, oh yeah, like it's sad, and I'm like, if you like really think about it, you know, like I'm like, he like skips all these little pieces of his life, you know, the things he doesn't like to do. You know, he's like, oh, I don't want to take a shower, I can fast forward through it, and then it just becomes like the remote takes over, and then I'm like, then his whole life is gone. Because it's about all these little things, and that just like gets me every time. But because it's just the premise, it's not even necessarily the movie, but it has to be something that's like that, like really, really hits home. But regardless, I had a couple of small things happen and got me really frustrated last week, and like it's just like all this pent up, displaced energy, and I didn't know what to do with it. So, you know, I found some music, and I just like was like, you know, it was like heavy metal or whatever, and just like really got into it, and like, you know, just like and got it out, and I've been extremely tired ever since. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You
So
did
I
that
don't know
last week
whether
and you've been really tired.
do what?
You did that. Excuse me. You did that last week and you got really tired?
I believe so. I've been tired for a little while though. I don't know why.
That's definitely interesting, and maybe something to, one thing I didn't mention about having both your sacral and your heart defined is that, and this is why I asked if you were tired after doing all of your videos, is learning when to rest. How much rest have you gotten over the last week?
Oh
I
man,
mean, like peaceful rest, not even just sleep, just even peace.
Man, probably not much. I mean, like even my sleep schedule has been jacked up. I've been, I'd say the past like few nights, I've just been like, it's like 3 a.m. and I'm like, I can't sleep. And, like I turn the TV off and I like lay there and my mind's just like, da, 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 da. So I'll turn the TV on, I'll turn the screen off, I'll turn the volume very low, but it's like just high enough to where like my internal dialogue can't run. And then I can fall asleep.
Have you ever tried, there's, a bunch of different videos on YouTube where there's sleep meditations or even sleep affirmations that are like 8 hours long? Yeah.
I haven't done an 8-hour one. I do some. I do have a meditation app that it helped for a while.
I want you to make a list of, try to think of childhood, like 5 to 10. Yeah, like 5 to 10-year-old Brent.
Okay.
What kinds of activities or things did you like to do that made you feel really calm and peaceful? Which I know as a little boy, those moments are probably a little more rare.
So interestingly enough, I had always been a very physical individual, right? So I played tons of sports, and my home when I was a kid was like, literally like 10 feet off of our driveway we had a creek that went for miles and miles and miles. And my parents, we didn't have cable all the time growing up. We didn't have a lot of video games or anything, which like all my friends had video games. I was literally in the creek all the time. Or playing sports, riding, skateboarding, basketball, fishing, hunting, doing all that stuff. And that continued. I played almost every sport except for soccer, like officially. So I played all these sports and then went into the Marine Corps. And then I got in my accident, and then I couldn't be that physical person anymore. So I didn't have what I had always had, which is like sports and activity to fill that gap.
And how's your activity level now? Like, what are you allowed to do? And
I'm not really like limited. Okay. But I am also limited, if that makes sense, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So it's before, there's a fine window of pain-free and then pain. So, and that window has always, since the accident, has been very weird. There's a lot of alternating factors, right? So humidity has a big part of it. If it's going to rain, if it has rained, if it's really sunny and it's, 70 degrees outside and there's a light wind, that's probably like optimal conditions for me to get like to go on my bicycle and ride 10 miles. But any other day, if it's overcast and rain's coming, I can feel that humidity. I can feel the pressure drops, legs start hurting, and you might get a mile or 2-mile bike ride out of me. So it's like everything is so varying now. I used to never have to worry about any of it and just do whatever whenever I wanted it. I'll go play sports until it's raining, thunderstorming, and I see lightning hit, 100 yards away. Like I'll no problem. Like, that's fine. But like nowadays, I'm like, my whole body's like locked. Like my arm will lock, and I can't move it. I'll just have to wait until it releases.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling. You know, like I'll be doing something and it'll just clink, and I'm like, it's just pain if I try to move. So I have to wait until it just releases. I don't know what's releasing. I don't feel a pop or a click or anything. It just.
And then is it painful afterwards?
Typically, no.
Okay. I'm gonna give you a challenge. Can I give you a silly challenge? And if
Sure.
you do it, then you get the bragging rights of, I did this. I did this.
Okay.
5 to 10 minutes at the end of the day where you turn on your headbanging music, your metal,
Okay.
and you move your body however your body feels to move. And if you get locked up, you get locked up. And you just wait, like you said you did, at the end of the day. And then when you get into bed, the headphones not so great, right?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
feels
sometimes I
good, then-
can. It starts to get really hot, and I'll just wake up and sweat. So it's a hit or miss. If I'm like cold that night, then I could probably pull it off. But if I'm hot already going to bed, I'm like, forget about it.
Okay. So I guess feel into that. And if you want to use, your headphones for sleeping, then do that. Or because and it's like right before you get into bed, you're doing this exertion.
Yeah.
And then getting into bed, and just, how to do breath work. So just focusing on your breathing. Have you done grounding into your bed? Have you ever tried that?
Grounding? No, not into my bed. No.
So, similar as, if you had your feet on the ground and you were grounding into Gaia. Now, flipping that, and imagine that your bed is the earth, right? And with every breath out, you're sinking deeper into the earth. You're really, and just grounding into that space, really making it every breath out, I'm more and more comfortable. Every breath out, I'm more peaceful. I'm releasing all of this energy. You can still say, if you want to, releasing all of this energy to Gaia. You can do that.
Okay. Yeah. So
I want you to try it.
Yeah.
For
5 to
5
10
days.
minutes. Yeah. So the 5 to 10 minutes of moving my body is really breaking up and moving that stagnant energy or residual energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be emotional, right? It could be. It's just whatever energy is left from the day.
Yeah.
Trying to get it out. And maybe you find that you want to do 20 minutes.